Hello, Vishnu. Guys,
Hi,
so
hi, hi.
Vishnu is from the 2020 batch.
Yeah,
He's
2020
he's
batch.
currently studying in University of Notre Dame, which is in USA. I know the name makes you feel like it's in Paris or somewhere, but no, it's in Indiana, USA. I don't think I should be speaking much. So if you guys have probably attended the last session too. So yeah, just start with that. You ask whatever you want at this point.
So many familiar people come on.
Okay, familiar people.
Wait,
Oh, hello, Karan.
do, do you start with questions?
Haha.
Yeah,
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah,
Vishnu?
yeah, hi, hi, hi. How are you?
Hello, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good, good. Nice to see so
Uh,
many of you after a long time.
um, how's the place treating you?
Like, you mean Notre Dame?
Yeah, like how are you? Have you settled?
Yeah, it's been like 6 months, so I'm also not been here for long. Yeah, I think I came during the worst weather. Like, I came and it was like minus 20 degrees outside. So,
Oh,
yeah, like, so that semester was pretty bad. So, little bit looking forward to fall when it's better weather during the semester. But apart from that, yeah, it's nice. So it's a pretty small town place, so not like being in a big city like Pune.
yeah.
Yeah, I guess most like even graduate life is pretty different. Like you don't have you don't have stuff like hostels, mess, people to mess around with all the time. So
But are
it's
you
slightly
like
different.
alone at home? That like at a staying area?
Yeah, like so this is like a house. I had a roommate, but he left before the summer. So right now I'm alone. Like, yeah, it's not like a mess or anything, like hostel or anything. I think someone is writing
Okay,
something.
cool. Send pics.
How's the how's the
Hey,
COVID
we asked the
situation?
question.
Yeah, so the COVID situation, like when I came, I think it was during their peak wave, like January, but then it was getting better. Like when we came, it was pretty scary. Like even the university had like 30, 40 cases a day. So, but then, yeah, I think within a month or two, it cooled down. So it became better. Like, and by April, they vaccinated the whole campus. Like, they just baited students into stuff. So I guess people got vaccinated. So right now, it's pretty good. How's PhD courses compared to courses you did in ICER? Like, so I guess like the first year courses that you have here, like 80% of the content will be what you would have already done, like just in the course. Like even if you haven't read beyond a course in ICER, it'll feel like you're already done. So it's not hard to actually catch up to that in that sense. So like it'll feel pretty easy, but it's just that the amount of effort they expect in a course is way more. Like you can't take more than 3, 4 courses here. Like, at ICER, that seems like a joke.
Are you doing projects and stuff also?
Uh, yeah, those kinds of things are pretty flexible here. Like, in fact, if you want, you can just fill your whole credit requirement with just reading projects. So, as long as you clear their whatever qualifier or basic course requirements, it doesn't matter.
So how was the qualifier? Have you
Yeah,
seen?
so like my university has a weird system. We don't exactly have a qualifier separately. Like, there are just some set of courses. You have to either take the course, get some minimum high grade, or you can just write the final exam and declare it as a qualifier. So we didn't have anything separate. So we're kind of done with the requirements.
Nice.
Yeah. I think that most universities, especially in math, have qualifiers separate.
What are you broadly studying?
Like
Like,
PhD wise,
I mean, Arik, what are you like? What is your research problem focused on? Like, what are you heading towards?
like I've just started actually working with the faculty. Like I did discuss with them over the first year, but it mostly started like a couple of weeks ago.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's mostly a little bit related to what I did in my fifth year. But yeah, like it's mostly related to geometry analysis.
Algebra geometry?
No, nothing to do with all that.
Did you leave algebraic geometry?
I wasn't doing it much at any point. Like I don't know it at all, so it's fine.
Hmm.
It's just that it might help in general. So maybe at ISA, that's when I was up to it.
Right.
So it's more like related to like harmonic maps and manifolds and stuff like that. Which even I
Oh,
don't have too much idea.
analysis.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Let's just ignore Kush for some time. I guess guys, if you have questions related to even other subjects, you can ask. There are other experts here, I think, today. Like,
So yeah, I had a general question regarding maths.
mhm.
So many people have told me that maths, when we go into research for maths, there is basically something called pure maths and something called applied maths. So what's the difference between both of them?
So these are more based on uh, slightly more traditional idea of what used to be more applied fields in math. So that's generally, you can say, more like numerical analysis, computational related stuff, statistics. So that's what is generally classified as applied maths versus other stuff as pure math. Like the wording can be little deceptive. Of course, it's partially true, but uh, like a lot of aspects of pure maths are also being applied, but like I'm not fully sure what to expect, but yeah.
Like even I'm a first year student right now.
Mm-hmm.
So even I get means I am confused between what are both the fields. So I just wanted to ask.
Yeah, so one can traditionally be more abstract, and you may not begin with a kind of physical or realistic motivation many times.
Okay, yeah,
I'm like, if that makes sense.
yeah, okay.
But yeah, it's pretty, what do you say? Like, there's no fine line dividing it.
Hi, Vishnu.
Yeah, hi.
Yeah, so I wanted to ask a pretty general question about US PhD. So the first question is about this GRE and TOEFL and subject GREs. Like, what's the scene right now? Like, do you have any recent update on that? Like, we are entering our fifth year, so yeah, wanted to know
Okay.
about.
Like, I don't know a lot what happened because of COVID, because I know because of COVID, a lot of universities stopped asking for GRE and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm not very sure how it will be next year. So
Okay.
yeah, like during our time also, like
Yeah.
for many, for few subjects, like I remember for biology, like almost 60% of universities already used to not ask for GRE.
Mm-hmm.
Like, but in math, most of the departments used to ask. And
Okay. So both
like,
subject GRE and general GRE.
yeah, so it's like if you are applying, like here many times the math department also might be split. Like there might be a separate applied math department, there might be a separate stat department, there might be a separate math department. So the math department in most places ask for subject GRE, or they, at least they say it's highly recommended. It will help you in your admission and stuff like that.
Oh.
Yeah, and like of course, like GRE, TOEFL, like they're just filters. Like I never did well, so it's okay.
Okay. Okay. Right.
So I had this question that Vishnu is.
Mhm.
So do you think that it will be less competitive next year because it was more competitive this year for PhD positions?
Not necessary, right? Because people might apply next year who.
I mean,
Because I think that it was competitive not because there were more people. It was competitive because a lot of universities had a reduction in funding and stuff.
do you have fewer PhD students? First of all, do you have fewer PhD students than your previous years?
Yeah,
That intake for
but
this
that I
year?
think was because my batch is like one of the biggest batches my department took. So they were already not planning to take a lot next year, irrespective of COVID. So, but there was a news, right, like in between where universities are saying we are cutting on funding, we are going to take less students and stuff like.
So I had this question related to your MS thesis.
Mm-hmm.
So how did you come up with the? I mean, so I saw it. It was like it was very impressive. Like you found out it was on on the Yau-Calabi conjecture, something like that, and
Mm-hmm.
it's a Fields medal problem
Yeah,
kind of
so it
thing.
was just a reading project, basically, honestly. Yeah. I haven't put in anything new in it.
So that's fine, but I mean that it has like lots of components. Like you have algebraic geometry, you've got complex analysis, you've got Riemannian geometry. I mean, usually a person would not be comfortable with algebraic geometry and
Yeah, like, so the
and
algebraic geometry aspect, even I don't understand a lot, I still don't. But it's mostly like you just understand a little bit to get a hold of it. Like, I also had just done, I think, like one semester project on it, like, managed to read a chapter of something. So that's the only knowledge I have. So yeah, apart from that, it's mostly a little bit of geometry and analysis. And maybe when I spent the whole summer just picking up these subjects, like I didn't directly start into the project. Like he just will get comfortable with all this taking time.
so this topic, how did you get this idea that you wanted to read out the Yau-Calabi conjecture?
So that was completely my advisor's job. Like I think
Okay.
it was more like I'd approached him saying like these are things I enjoyed in the last summer project and stuff like that. So which was a little bit of analysis and geometry, like not a lot, but so. And then he told like yeah, that makes sense. This is an idea I have. Like it's like a pretty standard result in that field, like Kähler geometry, and so that's what he works in basically. So in that case, he was like, yeah, this is like the basis of most of our research. So you can just do this as a project. And I think he had more hope, more ideas, but we didn't go there.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but where are you doing your PhD?
I'm at University of Notre Dame, like, and it's not confused to be in Europe. It's in US. I think till my fifth year even I didn't know such a place existed in US. So it's fair enough.
So, how's your PhD life in general? Is it hectic or?
Like it was mostly coursework during the first year, so like not very different from ICER level hectic.
So, you're in your second year right now or third year?
Second year, I just finished my first year, so it's like the summer after my first.
So you said that you're done with your comprehensive exams or
No,
whatever.
just
that
the qualifier aspect. Yeah.
So basically, you can start your PhD work, right?
Yeah. So after, as soon as we finished the courses, we were already asked to find an advisor and stuff like that.
Is it only 1 year? I thought it is 2 years. It was 2 years.
Yeah, it is. It's actually in many places it's common to be 2 years. Like here is just 1 year. Like,
That's nice.
Yeah.
That's
like
nice.
like you might have time up to 2 years, but like the normal procedure that they claim is like 1 year. So.
So then you complete your PhD in 4 years, or is it still
No, it's
5
5
years?
years. Still 5 years.
Oh, so you have thesis for 4 years.
No, so the second year is like something where you start working and then you have a whatever orals exam or candidacy exam or whatever they call it. So this advisor is only for that exam. Like 99% of the time you continue with the same person. Just a
Is he
technical
the
aspect.
same? Is he the same person who was their starting advisor in the very beginning, who you wanted to
Yeah,
work
yeah,
with?
yeah, yeah. Yeah. I joined here basically with the condition that I work with him.
Did you talk to him before you joined? I mean, did you like have
Like
something?
after I got an admission offer, I talked to him.
Okay. Had you applied to him before applying to the university?
Okay, so I think that's a common question people have. Like, that's not really necessary here. Like, yeah, I don't think I mailed anyone before I filled in the form. Like, except, yeah, I'll read questions in the chat. I'm sorry. So, I did, maybe I just mailed one professor among all the universities I applied to. And that's because I'd met him in India. So, that felt fair enough.
So did you had this debate of Europe versus US, and if yes, like how did you choose US?
I guess in like for math, I guess the system here is slightly better because you have a little bit more course structure and time to decide upon.
Okay, okay.
Like apart from that, if you're confused, I guess it's more a question of whether you're pretty sure of what you with the topic and the faculty, because in Europe you're basically committing that in the starting itself. So
Yeah,
if
right.
you're in physics or chemistry, if you're not very sure, it's a good decision to come over to US. Yeah, like I don't think I applied to any European universities.
Oh, okay.
Maybe one or two max. Like I don't know. Yeah, 1 second. How did you get an admission for PhD in the US? So yeah, see in the US you directly apply to the university, so or the department in that case. Like, it's it's not like you apply to a faculty or a person. Slightly more directly the university selects you, so you don't even need to have a advisor or anything at the starting. Like you have time to choose all them. TOEFL, yeah, like I do think some universities waive it off. Like I know people who have just mailed the university and ask if you can waive off TOEFL for them, but yeah. Well, I think it's more like a filter. Like there are some basic requirements, and there were universities where I didn't teach the basic requirements, so I should not apply. But yeah, I guess if you have score like some other people, you can apply anywhere.
So guys, you can like unmute and ask the same question that you're typing down.
What do application officers look for? Yeah, so I guess uh, some important things for well applying is at least what I felt helped me was maybe just talk to whoever you're taking recommendations from. Like it's good to apply to places where they know someone at least. And apart from that, look up universities that generally tend to take a lot of international students or which have way bigger departments because it's slightly easier in that case to apply and get through. Wait, like maybe yeah. Apart from that, there are some standard stuff like you write an SOP. Like I just copy pasted and used to change names, so It's not like, yeah, but the right, like framing it the first time is an effort. Mm. So it's a statement of purpose. So where you kind of explain what you want to do and what you have been doing, and it's a kind of research statement, but maybe toned down version. If that makes sense. So like every university will ask for that because that's what they read on you. Like, so the coursework is pretty similar to what you have at ICER, but it's just that it's more compressed in the sense that like you won't have 4 algebra courses, but rather you'll have 2. And maybe in the end they'll do some, like there'll be few topics beyond maybe what you did in your 4 algebra courses. So stuff like that. Like, yeah, and like all the topology courses were like one course here. Like, yeah, Poinsett topology, algebraic topology, all that was like half of a course. So some of the second semester courses are slightly. How much did you and other math people struggle in getting top 50 rank in NET or T? Like the content in these papers are not really hard. Like, so it's not like there was a separate preparation to cover the syllabus, but a main kind of effort I put, at least that's how I do it for most exams, such exams, is just to get to know what are the kind of questions they ask, and then there's always a time factor. Like in such, when you're working at ICER, like one question you can take a lot of time, but you can't do that in such a paper. So you should just be comfortable with what are the kind of questions they tend to ask. So I think the main thing I did is I used to just put a timer on my computer and sit 3 hours and write a couple of papers before these exams. Like that helps the most. Like once you're done with ICER syllabus. Yeah, the TFR one didn't go well. But yeah, I think, yeah. So like syllabus wise, it's not hard. Like there might be a couple of topics you might have to pick up because you wouldn't have learned all the courses, and they'll focus on some particular course a lot more than what we think. Yeah, but like even without that, you can get through. Like it's not hard. Like the requirements are not very hard.
So, what are your plans? Like, are you sure? Like, of like, are you thinking of academia or nothing as such right now? Like, are you open to plans?
Like, are you thinking of?
Academia, or are you open to whatever comes? Like, you haven't decided.
Like,
what are your plans basically?
Yeah, I get your point. Like, I guess I'll mostly be going into academia right off now. Like, I don't want to think or fix too far into life, but it's more like currently that's the plan, but it's not. It's a bit hard, but not very hard to move away if required. Also, like because you might just have to pick up a lot more stuff, and especially I think considering my subject and topic, it's a little bit more hard. I think, as I said, like applied maths can generally tend to have a little bit more opportunities.
Yeah.
Not much apart from the course.
So like, were you same at ICER as well? Ki you just wanted to do PhD in academia, or have you looked at other options and like then you decided a PhD?
I don't know how
Like
much I
you
thought of other options. Like
Uh-huh.
this came through, and so you went ahead with it. Like, and that it happens many times.
More of a flow, I guess.
Yeah, more of a flow. Like I did try different topics at ICER. Like that's what was the point of summer, not to like build something towards 5th year.
Yeah.
I think that's something I used to tell people. Like it's not necessary to like do some project in your first year, continue the same thing, and it's not like you have to go a lot
Deep into
the same topic in your first few years, because you can pick like what you might do in your first year summer. Suppose you start a new topic in your fifth year, you can still pick it up yourself in a matter of few weeks. The point is just to look at different subjects. Like I had done summer projects on like number theory and all kinds of stuff. Even in a computer science department once. So, yeah.
So you did your fifth year at
I was
guess-
at ISC.
Yes. Oh, how was
Yes,
that? How was that experience? How was that experience?
Yeah, that was pretty nice. Like, so I'm from Bangalore, so it was like I
Nice.
was at home. So
Okay. So, nice.
yeah, so like I don't know how much of IAC life I got, but
Right.
the person I worked with and all was pretty chill. Like it was hardly 30, 35, so never felt like a faculty.
So nice.
More like a friend, like senior who I used to talk to. So, yeah. So I mean, like how are you planning on exploring geometry? So I think geometry analysis is like very broad. Like it's just a term. So I. So there are multiple areas that basically use these kind of techniques that are very similar. Like you basically use techniques from analysis to solve questions that arise in geometry. And like I was actually like during my fifth year, it was more of like complex analysis, geometry. Like that's what the Kähler geometry aspect. But right now it's a little different. Like at least what I'm planning to do here. Like what are things you should be familiar with?
I mean, I used to think that you're doing something in analysis related to PD or something. Most
Yeah,
amount of
like that's what it finally sometimes boils down to. But right now when I'm studying initially, it hardly has any of that stuff actually.
I mean, like you used algebraic geometry
Like
and there was like some PD stuff, and I mean those kind of stuff were all mingled together, and like
so
one would
it's mostly like you'll have some geometric problem, and then the problem will eventually boil down to being a differential equation. If that makes sense. Like so a lot of your geometric problems can be related to like say whatever curvature or anything. So all these are actually some kind of second order derivatives.
so for
A lot
solving
of
those
these things
problems,
actually convert to a PD problem.
no, so solving that, understanding that PD problem, you need to be familiar with the basic second order PD, linear
Yeah,
PD,
so many
and then
times that techniques might already be pretty standard, right? Like I think in the case of the thesis, even that was the harder part, but not necessary that it'll be like that.
how many hours did you use to meet your supervisor like each week and coming in a project?
I don't know. It used to be like maybe weekly 1 or 2 meetings, anywhere from 10 minutes to an hour or two. Like maybe it was mostly around once a week, but it became more towards the end, like or middle actually, when like we got into the theorem. I used to meet him like 2-3 times a week. It depends. Like there are people who you might end up being very formal with. You'll have a fixed meeting time. You'll have a meeting group and all. Like his case, I used to just knock on his door, ask him if he's around. So yeah, that can vary based on your interactions. Yeah, they're all costly, that's for sure. Among general JEE, subject JEE, TOEFL. Like, so the thing is, I think TOEFL is like a requirement by the university / state sometimes for you to be a TA. So most universities have some minimum score they need. Otherwise, you can't teach, or you'll have to come here and write some English exam of theirs. Some universities do waive it off, like Notre Dame. After joining, they waived it off for me, so I didn't have to like go through any of that hassle. Subject GRE is subject GRE is pretty necessary if you're applying to a math department. Like at least that's what helped me. Like for sure I know that because that went well, and there were other applications like even from IAC who I got precedence over here. So which the main difference was subject GRE. So I guess that helps for sure. But I guess beyond all this, it's more important like if you talk to your fifth year advisor, get to know places where he feels there's a better chance, get to know where you have a better chance. Apply where he knows people a little bit at least, because those help a lot. Yeah, like the university has removed all masks requirements. Like so like, yeah, it's not really necessary on campus. And people outside don't anyway care, so it's okay. Like not all, like my university is a little too proactive in removing COVID related regulations, but it's getting normal. But I think during the summer it's mostly like the lot of the crowd goes home, graduate population a little bit, but most of the undergraduate population goes home. So the university is like very empty. Does the university have any stipend or scholarship programs? Like I haven't really looked in a lot, but like I remember after I got the offer, when I looked in, it's a lot of it are restricted to like US citizens or some minority kind of scholarship. So it's a bit hard for us, but mostly you get some form of TA-ship. And in our university, in my department, it's a little different where they actually give you a department scholarship for the first year, and then from second year you have to take classes. I had heard that GRE. Yeah, it's not a bad idea. Like that's good. Like giving GRE or TOEFL in your fourth year, but like I never did that. Like of course, like I've heard of people who have done that also. So it's not hard. But you, like during the fourth, you have to find time also for all that. So how do expectations change from prof admission officer? Yeah, like you mostly end up meeting your professors on Zoom. Like I've just met my prof once, my advisor in 1 year. So it's not very different. Like he also doesn't come to the university. So admission office side. Like I didn't exactly understand what you mean. Oh.
So you haven't gotten the chance to interact with Logna, like actual people. Like,
Not
have you
much. Like maybe my department people I met a couple of times, like my batchmates, but not more than that.
Is that a thing that PhD people do? Like they gather
No, so
and
the whole
discuss stuff?
yeah. So the thing is, especially here, like it might that felt different initially. Like during a first year when you're taking course, also faculty are always like discuss homeworks. You're supposed to sit together and solve. This write separately and give. Like they tell that.
Or
So like even when we joined and when it was pretty sure that it's going to be online, the graduate chair and all was like, yeah, it's sad. The first year is the time you meet people, you interact with other students and do your homeworks together and stuff like that. So
right.
like that's like something you'll hear constant from every faculty here, like discuss and write, don't.
So discuss. So all PhDs are together, kya? Like, or only one? Like,
What do you mean by all PhDs are together?
so you are attending all courses, right? So if a PhD guy wants to work on something that's entirely different from yours,
Yeah, but still you still end up taking, like, there's a broad set of basic courses, like whatever like graduate level, first level courses. So like we'll have like an algebra 1-2, analysis 1-2, differential geometry course, a topology 1-2. So these are like the courses that we had basically.
Hmm.
And it's not like really far from maybe what you did there, but like it's of course a little bit more like I think I was giving the example like topology 1 had like the whole point set topology course, the whole uh, algebraic topology course that you did in ICER, more or less,
Hmm.
and like most of your calculus and manifolds course. That was like topology 1.
Oh Lord.
Like topology 2 did like homology and cohomology from Hatcher. So it's like you do have extra aspects too, but it's not very hard like once you've come from ICER to do something here.
I have a question that a lot of ICER students or ICER math students sort of think about. Do you think that this 4-year coursework at ICER is sufficient when we go for a PhD?
Yeah, people here don't even know this stuff, so it's fine.
Okay.
You know, like we have done a lot more stuff than I think people here have done, so it's pretty chill. At least if you're applying to US. So
Yeah, a personally important question.
because yeah, 1 second. Like because the coursework here is more like a master's for them, like somewhere in between a master's and PhD for them. Like people who have joined here with me are actually people who have just done their bachelor's. So like our 4-year coursework should have done a lot more than like or whatever. Our 5-year program should have done a lot more than what they have done here in 4 years. So like that.
But
Yeah.
but isn't it like open the admission, like when both people apply they take based on merit and not on wherever the people are applying from, right?
Like it
Shouldn't
does
it-
matter because they may not, like it's pretty common that they won't know what ICER is. So how can they look at the grades there and say, okay, this person is good?
they can look at their SOP and stuff and see that they're writing some complicated stuff like doing
Like you can write all this complicated stuff. Right? It's not hard. So that's why there are other factors like whether based on your like that's why sometimes subject jury helps because that's like a standardized test they conduct, right?
now subject here is you never know. Like last year it got cancelled. Now this year
Okay.
there's talks of a third wave.
And then I think like even the recommendations help. Like the person here kind of knew like Raghuram and my 5th-year advisor. So like both together it helped.
So who did you take a third recommendation from?
Chandashil?
Okay. So I have this question that subject GRE might not be there. So suppose like I take my example that I am weak in some particular part like algebra, and I am strong in some other thing like analysis and specifically PD.
Mm-hmm.
So should I try to do a project in algebra and try to maybe get recommendation from that person saying that okay now my algebra is better because my transcript does not reflect it.
But
And
that may not help necessarily. Like, yeah, fine. I did analysis. I took records from algebra people, but because when you apply here, sometimes it's based on what your broad area is. Like in your SOP, you present like what you broadly want to do. So they kind of divide the application. So maybe the person seeing your application may not sometimes even care a lot of whether your algebra is good or not. How important was your CGPA? Like honestly, I don't have too much idea. Like some places do have minimum requirements if I remember, but that's not a lot high. But yeah, it's either like 3 out of 4 or 3.25 out of 4 or something.
so your batchmates, the people who have joined beside you, how much like out of
I don't know
4,
if that
how much were they getting?
Like I know people on the border who have easily gotten admission in very good places here. So
But in your university, like in your, like all your friends, like here in your Notre Dame University, what's the average situation like? Are there
Yeah,
more
I don't
people
know.
who are,
Like, I might not have spoken this. Like, I guess if you're applying from within the USA, they might look at your CGPA more because they'll know the university more. Like, if that makes sense. But when you're applying from outside, it's kind of good to have something high, but I'm not very sure how much it helps.
I mean, I think like I felt like they were expecting something like 3.5, 3.6 out of 4 or something like
Yeah, they
equivalently.
can. Yeah. Yeah, like mine wasn't bad, so it wasn't hard in that aspect.
So you mentioned about this TA-ship and like that's how the you got the that's how you get the stipend. So like do you do like are you supposed to do TA-ship for all 4 years?
Yeah, so it might depend. Like right now, the way it worked is during the first year we didn't have to do. The
Yeah.
department gave us a fellowship,
Mm-hmm.
and even in general, it's called as a department fellowship. But then they have put bracket departmental duties, and the departmental duties is taking classes. So I think technically you might be assigned all 4 years, but if you end up getting like a research assistantship or something of that sort, normally during the third or fourth year it might reduce. Like in the
Because
second and third years, it will be the I think every semester.
but like India mein it's kind of not that, right? So India mein it's different. So yeah, here they do two
Yeah,
or
in
3
India
years
they just do
education.
two, I think one or two.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, here it's like not like.
So
Mhm.
sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
No, so I was asking. So there is no assured stipend or something unless you
No,
do.
no. So it is assured for 5 years, but then you might have to do day shift for 5 years. It's only a question if you can remove that condition or not.
Yeah.
Like the scholarship is assured for 5 years, like because technically they're even covering your what do you say? Your tuition part, right?
Right.
They take it from their own pocket and put it back, but still.
Right.
How is Indiana?
Not a very exciting state, but it's fine. Like it's just 2 hours from Chicago, so not very far.
Why did you choose to? Why did you choose to apply to this university?
Yeah, so
Given that
uh,
it's in Indiana.
like honestly, even before applying, I didn't know too much about this place. But so I think during my fifth year, I was reading a book, and like which was like my main reference, and the author of the book works here, so. So I applied to work with him, and like I'm actually working with him, so that way it wasn't bad. Yeah, like it was mainly academic reasons. Like what are the standard living expenses? Like don't worry too much about all that. Like how much ever it is based on the city, based on the place, your scholarship will be pretty proportional. Like yeah, maybe in some public universities it'll be a little less, but for sure it's most of the times it's pretty coverable. Yeah, but Indianapolis is far. So. How is your department for algebraic geometry? I guess there are a few people like the at least Notre Dame is pretty famous for like its topology group is very big, and then it has a pretty famous whatever logic slash model theory, whatever that is. I don't have too much idea. And like the geometry group is not very big, but it has a couple of interesting people. So yeah, like not bad. You come back for Karwa. Okay, come on. That's during middle of a semester.
Do you miss Mimamsa stuff?
Let's have the discussion later. They're like, sure, why not? Yeah, food situation, yeah, I cook. Yeah. There are things you pick up once you come. It's not hard, like, yeah, fine. Not you, if that makes sense, Sudesh. My God, what do you cook? Like, some permutation of like, some vegetables, non-veg, rice, whatever. Not hard to survive, I guess. Anything else? But I'm not in Paris. It's fine. Yeah, like I guess in a lot of universities you may not have that issue. Like the Indian population itself will be so large in these universities, you won't feel a difference. Yeah, at Notre Dame it's really low because they actually take way lesser number of international students than a lot of other universities. So they don't have it generally in their thing. And they're a little whatever. They're a Christian funded university, so they have other stuff. Even my department hardly has like 1 or 2 Indians. So yeah, that's there for sure. Yeah, Khanna, of course, I do. Like you can find some activities like I don't know, recent like you do make some set of friends, of course, and then there are smaller things to do around. Like I go more recently been going biking a lot, like across the city and stuff like that. You find like when there's nothing, you find something to do. No, like, not. How flexible is your day? Like during the semester, you don't get time a lot. Like now it's summer, it's pretty chill. I was actually at Purdue till day before, like meeting some ISER friend. So I just came back yesterday. It's during summer, it's pretty flexible. Like mostly people are traveling around. Yeah.
So, like, is it like in your first year you had courses? So, was it like your general 9 to 3 or 9 to 5 work and then you chill after that, or was it something slightly
Yeah.
offbeat?
The first semester was sure 9 to 3, only that it was in the night because I was in India.
Okay.
But the second semester, it's mostly been like 9 to 5. But the thing is, the workload for a course is a lot more here. Like at least the expectation they have. You can easily have like an assignment or 2 a course every week and stuff like that. So generally time goes during the first year and all that. It's not really necessary to do a lot of this also. Like you can skip some of it, you can just give exams and stuff like that. But yeah.
Is it like credit based, these courses, or like how exactly does it work?
So the way it works in most of these places, there will be some set of credit requirements, both from the university and some even because of your visa and visa status and stuff like that. But filling up credits is not hard. Like at least in my place, you can just fill up all your credits by just saying you're doing a reading project. Literally, the reading project has a bar where you can move the credits for that course. So, but the more requirement is in many universities, especially in math and physics, you'll have something known as qualifiers towards the end of your first year or second year. So where either it'll be in the form of a separate exam completely during the summer, where the department kind of takes an overall test of you on all these subjects broadly. Like you can choose few, but still in a broad sense. In my case, they told either do the course, then we won't ask you for anything. If you don't do the course, write the final exam of the course straight away. Like, without taking the course, you can just take the final exam if you feel like you're comfortable, or you can skip it by giving a viva, and like there are few options.
Okay, but you would have to write the exam at the end of the
In
semester.
some form. So it's because they consider it like kind of the master's degree here, like if like close enough, like because most students come after a bachelor's. So
Okay.
yeah, because here they have a 4-year bachelor's in math and then they join here. So like a lot of the students will have joined just after a 4-year bachelor's.
Okay. Also, is the PhD time flexible? I mean, I assume you would want to go the full 5 years because it'll be pretty hectic otherwise. But I've heard that there are like
You mean flexible beyond it or flexible at the
where it
start?
goes both beyond 5 and you finish before.
So in US the initial part is not flexible. Like almost all universities take PhD students in August. It's not like you can join in December or anything. But the ending is pretty flexible. It's like, in fact, they already say like without issue we should be able to give you funding even for a 6th year if there's any issue. Like if you need some few months extension and stuff. It's mainly like a funding issue, finding funding. Like either the university has to give, you have to find from your faculty or some temporary positions. So it's mostly a question of that rather than like it not being allowed. There might be an upper bound, like I don't have exact idea, but it's surely not like 5 years. You have time way more than that.
Cool.
Yeah, normally you have time. You'll have multiple attempts in your qualifiers. So that's why many universities keep, like even my place has the requirement like to just complete it within your second year. So yeah. In places where there's a separate exam, they generally have time like till the end of their second year or even middle of their third year to clear qualifiers. So
Wait, so if you decide not to take the course, what will you be doing for the semester? Will you just start off with your other
yeah,
work?
you can kind of start off with your research. You can like there are like I don't know if you guys had like we had like 1 or 2 interesting courses even at ISA, which was kind of closer to a faculty's research rather than being a undergrad course. Like we do have like those kind of courses will be actually there every semester, like at least 2-3. So I remember even I had done one.
The topic courses.
Yeah, basically topic courses. So
Okay.
you can do that. There are even like intermediate kind of courses, like which are like seminar kind of courses and stuff. Or you can just forget all of this and just work on your research and stuff. Like mostly during the first year, it's very rare. Like people do it, but
Okay.
you have time. So even the faculties are generally like just. Or is it 5 years in total? Yeah, 5 years in total. 5 years in total. Like these are the steps within it. It's not bad. Like I didn't do any courses in my 5th year, but I used to attend a couple at IAC. Like just sit in one of the classes. Never put any effort apart from sitting in the class, which was also an effort. But yeah. Like they did help. Like there were aspects. Like I did a Riemannian geometry course at IAC, which we didn't really do a lot at. ICER, and which was kind of related to my project, and even an advanced one of that. Like there was a geometric analysis course, which only had half by then. The university closed down. Like, come on. It's just been an extra year for me. Well, theoretically you can be removed from the university, but it's like, don't worry too much about those steps. Like once you come here, you get in the flow, you'll get an idea how to get through most of these, like getting through qualifiers and stuff. So it's not hard.
So, like, would you say like the concept of a gap year like makes sense to you? Because you said that like people there like learn less than us because they just graduated with a bachelor's, right? So in that case, there's no real edge of a gap year, maybe.
I don't know, like there are a couple of issues. One is, of course, you shouldn't lose too much touch to math, but you should be able to kind of justify why you had a gap year. Because like people here might look at it like, what were you doing? Like, even if it isn't math based, they can ask at some point. Right?
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, like if like you do get a lot, like fine, the 5th year might seem like a lot of work, but I guess a lot of the 5th year time you can dedicate to just like looking up applications and all. Like after your summer in 5th year base, that's half of your work actually. It's not hard doing both.
Okay. Cool.
Like honestly, I wouldn't suggest taking a gap year if possible. Like unless, of course, there are other reasons, but from just a academic perspective, maybe not.
Yeah, like I was just on Reddit, and you have all these questions coming in the R Math subreddit, and people ask this kind of stuff. So I was just kind of made me curious because
I mean,
people
like
say
it
that.
would help if not, but yeah.
Okay. Cool.
The last time I've been to Honesta, wow. I don't know. Maybe I went during my 5th year. I don't remember. Oh yeah, I went to this guy in Bangalore. Yeah, of course. Okay, the chat is gone crazy. Like, any other questions, guys?
So how early did you start applying for your like PhD application? Where, like, at what point?
Yeah, so I think most of the deadlines for the applications are like either December 15, January 1st, January 15th. Like, it's in that range. So you have to start thinking before, like, I think I wrote GRE TOEFL somewhere in September. And there is some considerable effort, not too scare, but like there's some effort just like choosing your universities and stuff like that. So once everything was done, I think sat like I did it different. Like most people just fill one by one. I took a week off from my faculty and I just filled all the applications in like a week in November end or somewhere.
So you start applying when you're in 5th year, it's like somewhere in the beginning.
Yeah, you start looking in your starting of your like somewhere towards the middle of your 5th year, you start looking up for universities. Like in October, November, I had like a couple of sessions with my 5th year advisor where I sat and just we were talking about where to apply, what to do, and stuff like that. And maybe even with your other, like I did have a call with Raghuram also a couple of times. So you make a list like roughly like what are the places you want to apply. You put in a few big places where you know it's hard to get, maybe a few places you can get.
Did you apply to a lot of places?
Did you apply to?
Did you apply to a lot of places?
Yeah, I think I applied little over the board. Like normally people would say between 10 and 15 at max. Yeah, I think I applied more than 50. But yeah, few are just in the last, like after like last 2-3 days I put in 2-3 more, like just to.
And how many did you get selected in?
So it's weird in that sense, like I didn't hear back from many. Some, if you put them a mail, they'll start talking about it. So once I had Notre Dame, anything below Notre Dame, I just scraped. Like I don't care kind of mode. I think the main decision, like I was pretty confused because I got in Notre Dame and I got in Stony Brook. So this was like the only confusion I had. So these two are the only ones I considered as admissions. Like apart from that, I think I got 2-3 more, maybe 1 or 2 more max.
Okay, I see.
Only these two I had kept till the last. Like that decision was made in the last, maybe deadline days.
So, what factors besides just your advisor or field and the department did you factor in when deciding your final like destination?
Like actually, I think department-wise, Stony Brook is more better. So actually, the advisor thing was the strongest factor. Like I mailed him once I got because I asked him if he's planning to take students and stuff. Like without that, it might have been Stony Brook actually.
Okay, so the location.
Maybe they pay better for the location.
Okay. Okay. Cool.
But
Is
yeah,
there
mostly it was advisor.
okay. Is there like a general stipend? Like, is there a large difference in the stipend you get across universities, like of the same tier?
Not really. It's like there is a difference. It might depend. Like, of course, if you're in a place like LA or New York, you get way more because you end up spending more just on rent.
Right.
But it's not really a lot. Like, it's just proportional to that in most cases.
Okay.
Like some universities relatively give less even for the sit place. Yeah, but that's rare generally.
Okay.
So it was mostly like faculty, and he's pretty young also. So I had like those kind of things in mind. Like after my 5th year experience, I was like, maybe I'll prefer someone who's little young but active, stuff like that. I don't know honestly. Like, at least it hasn't for me increased in 1 year. We'll have to see next year the increase.
Also, I assume your main interaction is with your advisor, but and it's COVID, so you probably haven't interacted with other people a lot. But how often do you interact with other profs in related?
Like during the courses, like because the courses hardly had like 5-10 people. Like I guess even at ICER, if you're in the math batch, you'll have that experience where you have like 5 or 10 people in your class, so you get to know your faculty pretty well. So even here, in many cases, like some of the course I took had like 2-3 people and all. So it's not hard to get to know even those faculty. Yeah, of course, because of Zoom, didn't get to know all of them, but like couple of classes I started going in person by then. Like some of the courses were happening in person, but we had a Zoom option also.
Okay.
Initially, when I came, I
Also,
everything on Zoom, but later I started going. Whatever was in person, I started going in person.
all right. Besides courses, there's no real.
I think during like right now it's less. Like still there are like at least 3-4 seminars a week, so you get to know faculties and groups. But like if you start attending, like during COVID, it was very less. But in normal time, there's easily like 3-4 seminars and all a week. So like whatever your interest is, whatever your field is, you'll keep meeting those. You'll keep meeting that whole group essentially every week or every 2 weeks. Yeah, like COVID has made it a bit weird.
Okay.
So in India, I guess at least in ISER, the PhD students live in hostels on the campus. So is that common even in the US or do you have
No. So
of campus?
there are like on-campus housings little bit, but those are also like actually individual housings, and here it's even been outsourced to a private company. So it's more like you stay in individual houses, or like you stay outside. Like I'm also just moving. I'll be moving outside in a week or two. So you s- you just rent a house essentially and stay. So the concept of hostel isn't there much. Like undergraduates, I think do stay on campus, like a large percent in dorms. But yeah, because actually we don't have hostels, so we mostly cook. Uh, I don't think so. So the net I wrote in the starting of my fifth year, the July one. So like that, I just wrote it at that point. The gate one was weird. Like I was not planning to write a lot of these, uh, but I wrote gate. I guess like some international, like I remember like Singapore University's math department saying they would like to have gate score and stuff like that. So those are like places I would have applied if nothing had worked through here. So I just wrote gate and kept for that, like not with any real intention that it'll help in yours. Gate maybe not, because I wrote gate well after the applications. You can't write it earlier. You can only write it during a final year. Yeah, bye bye. Sure. But it's even a good backup because like to apply in India or anywhere. So like, that's all I saw it as when I initially wrote. You need to think of that also at some point.
So you did say like you applied to a lot of places. So do these applications actually cost money?
Yeah, yeah. So applications here are expensive. Like maybe applying to each university can cost anywhere between $50 to $100 each. So that's like up to 5 to 7,000 per university. And then you sending each university a GRE score can cost. So it's a big business.
Right. So does
Basically,
not.
the applications are not free. So otherwise, they will be overloaded with applications, right?
Yeah, that's true. Wait, does
You
no
have
one.
to make that choice, like how much are you willing to apply, and even each application takes some time apart from money. So there's a money and time factor to each application for sure.
So when you're sending these applications, you also need to send a. Do you need to send like a letter of recommendation from like your fifth year advisor?
For each place, yeah.
So like, did you prepare all the applications at once and then like just submitted it to your advisor so that like they can write
No.
for
So
all?
the way it happens is when you start filling in the application itself, they get a mail requesting for a letter of recommendation also. Like once you fill the reco section of the application form, they will be contacted by the university. So
Okay.
the technical aspect is that like technically you're not supposed to know what's in the recommendation letter.
Yeah.
So it's a personal thing between the recommender and the university. You'll just get to know if they submitted or not because your application won't go through without that.
Did you have to remind your advisor to fill it?
Like sometimes maybe, yeah. But like so that should give them a pretty long gap because they need to think and write it, right? Like so I would suggest like at least by October sometime talk to people and say, okay, you're going to be my recommender. So they will know that okay, they'll have to write. Like in most cases, honestly, they write the same thing and they change the university name. Like, because my faculty filled like 10 recos in like an hour. So I'm not very sure of this last question. Like, they might, may not. So you have to get to know their vibe. Like, in my case, I discussed every place with him before I even filled. So, yeah. So he just had to submit the same thing in multiple places. No, my God, Anjanya. Yeah, there are a lot of club activities within the university. I think it's mostly again run by undergrads. Like haven't been involved a lot in all those, honestly. But for sure, that's a lot here. Like, there are a lot of things you can do if you want to. So it's not hard. Like now, maybe because of COVID, it's been little low, but let's see during fall how it is. Like there are some events, some music, something or other happening on campus always. So, yeah.
Do you guys have anything like a journal club there, or like do you frequently discuss with others on anything that you're reading?
Like, I didn't complete. Like, what is the second part?
I mean, so do you guys have anything like a journal club there? So just people discussing whatever they're reading. Many
What were they working on or reading in an extracurricular sense as well?
academic reading.
Yeah, so that happens. So there'll be like even within the department, like most of the research groups will have their own like informal student seminar, generic seminar. So sometimes where it's just people, students, even graduate students just coming and talking of what they have been working on and stuff like that. Mostly second, third years.